Okay, so what if a technology that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction could actually solve a huge crisis of confidence for one of the world's oldest police forces? Today we're going to look at how British policing is turning to AI to fix a very, very real problem they're facing right now.
So let's just start with a number, 51%. That's it. That's how many people in Britain today think the police are actually doing a good job. Now, to give you some perspective on that, back in the year 2000, that number was way up at 75%. So yeah, this isn't just some little dip. It's a massive drop in public confidence, and it's getting close to a record low.
So, when you're dealing with slow response times and this huge trust problem, you start looking for answers. And the police are asking a pretty radical question. Could something like artificial intelligence, could that be the silver bullet they so desperately need?
All right, so why this sudden turn to AI? To really get it, you've got to understand why British policing is at this critical crossroads, a point where the old ways of doing things just aren't cutting it anymore.
It's funny. This isn't the first time we've seen this kind of resistance to new tech. I mean, believe it or not, police chiefs back in the day actually argued that horses were better than cars and radios. Fast forward a few decades, and you had officers who'd rather stick with handwritten notes than use a computer. It's this deep-seated, inertia. But here's the difference today. The pressures from modern crime and all the funding cuts they're too big to ignore.
Okay, so who's actually trying to break out of that cycle? Let's take a look at the innovators, the people working right inside the force who are using AI to kind of drag policing, kicking and screaming, into the 21st century.
Up at Police Scotland, there's this special team, right? It's led by a guy named Harry Schoen. And these guys, a team of coders and engineers, are working on a whole bunch of different AI projects. We're talking everything from planning out officer shifts to tools that can transcribe evidence in a snap. The whole point is to completely rethink how police work gets done.
And this really gets to the heart of what AI promises for policing. Just look at the difference. On one side, you've got 500,000 officer hours gone, just buried in paperwork every single year. But on the other side, you've got an AI tool that can transcribe an entire interview in just seconds. And look, the goal here isn't to replace officers. It's about freeing them up, getting them out from behind a desk and back out on the beat where they're needed.
And it goes way beyond just paperwork. All across the country, AI is proving to be a real game changer. I mean, in London, they're using chatbots for crime reporting. In Essex, they have something called rapid video response for really sensitive domestic abuse cases. The entire process of how evidence is gathered, it's being completely transformed.
And this quote from Sergeant Stacey Rothwell, it really shows you the profound human impact of all this. Just think about it. For a victim of domestic abuse, the fear of a marked police car pulling up outside their house, that can be enough to stop them from ever reporting the crime. It can be the difference between getting help or suffering in silence. So these tools, like rapid video response, they become a literal lifeline. They let people report crimes discreetly, and it's leading to arrests within hours.
So, okay, the potential here is obviously huge, but if these tools are so great, you've got to be asking, what's stopping every police force in the country from just rolling them out tomorrow? Well, as you can probably guess, it's not quite that simple. It really boils down to three major roadblocks standing in the way of this whole technological revolution. First, there's money. Second, that inertia we talked about. And third, maybe the trickiest one of all, public opposition.
Okay, first up, money. Or really, the lack of it. When things get tight and staffing costs go up, guess what's the first thing to get cut? Yep, the budget for new tech. And to make things even worse, the central pot of money from the government for these kinds of projects, it's about to be slashed in half. Second, we're back to that institutional inertia. It's just really tough to get the best tech talent to come work for the police when you can't even come close to the salaries in the private sector. As one expert put it, the best and brightest coders, they just don't think of policing as a place to have a career in tech.
And that brings us to the biggest roadblock of them all. And this one isn't about money, and it isn't about code. It's all about trust.
Now, to really get this, you have to understand a core idea that's at the very heart of British policing. It's called policing by consent. See, unlike a lot of other countries where police get their power from the state, in Britain, their power comes from the public, from us. And what that means is that any new technology, any new tactic, it has to have the public's buy-in, their approval to even be seen as legitimate. And this is exactly where that model gets put to the test. The public outcry we've seen over things like facial recognition, it's not just about privacy concerns. It's been called a massive failure of persuasion. The police just haven't done a good job of explaining why they need these tools. And when you have that communication vacuum, that consent from the public, it starts to disappear.
But here's the thing, while the police are debating all this, the criminals, they're not waiting around. As Harry Schoen warns, AI is already changing the world of crime. Fraudsters, hackers, organized crime groups, they are absolutely not waiting for public approval to use this stuff. And the longer the police wait, the further and further behind they're going to fall.
Which leaves us with the ultimate dilemma for modern policing, doesn't it? It's basically a race between innovation on one side and public trust on the other. Can the police actually win over the public, get that consent they need to use these powerful AI tools before they completely lose the technology race against criminals who are already miles ahead? The safety of our communities might just depend on how they answer that question.